يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. إنا عرضنا الأمانة على السماوات والأرض والجبال فأبين أن يحملنها وأشفقن منها وحملها الإنسان إنه كان ظلوما جهولا. ليعذب الله المنافقين والمنافقات والمشركين والمشركات ويتوب الله على المؤمنين والمؤمنات وكان الله غفورا رحيما.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah, 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 Rabbil Alameen. Thank Allah for sparing our lives from the previous episodes. And today is another special one as we have the previous weeks. We've been having panel discussions now. Last week we had our women version, and today is going to be the men version of the family affairs that we're doing, homemakers, we said. And my name is still Falilat Ulubumi Alabi. Welcome you once again to tonight's episode. First announcements. So we are planning to have our second phase of the hybrid fundraiser. So please look out for that and share this program on all your social media platforms. We are broadcasting live from United Kingdom as usual. And tonight is going to be a very special one where we have our fathers in the house. They are going to be talking to us about how we advise our young adults, our spouses, and how we make our home generally. So before I go further with my announcement, I would like to call on one of the sisters from Man UK Markaz, Rogiatu Diakese, to please give us the opening reading from the Quran. Thank you. Bismillah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها النبي لم تحرم ما أحل الله لك تبتغي مرضات أزواجك والله غفور رحيم. قد فرض الله لكم تحلة أيمانكم والله مولاكم وهو العزيز الحكيم. وإذ أسر النبي إلى بعض أزواجه حديثا فلما نبأت به وأظهره الله عليه عرف بعده وأعرض عن بعد فلما نبأها به قالت من أنبأك هذا قال نبأني العليم الخبير. إن تتوبا إلى الله فقد سقت قلوبكما وإن تظاهرا عليه فإن الله هو مولاه وجبريل وصالح المؤمنين والملائكة بعد ذلك ظهير. عسى ربه إن طلقكن أن يبدله أزواجا خيرا منكن مسلمات مؤمنات قانتات تائبات عابدات سائحات طيبات وأبكارا. صدق الله العظيم.
Allahu Akbar. Jazakumullah khairan, Dr. May Allah bless you and accept it as act of ibadah. Thank you for that beautiful recitation. Now, moving on, I'm still, still want to announce that we should please stay tuned to our fundraising that we'll be holding very soon. And those that have been donating, contributing all this while, we want to thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts and still plead with you, those that have pledged, to please redeem your pledges. May Allah continue to bless you and make it easy for you to redeem your pledges. Also, remember to enroll your children in Markaz. It's not too late to learn the Quran. Today, as I said, is going to be a special one. So please stay tuned as our fathers, tackle the topic of homemaking. I would now like to hand over to our father, Professor Mashood Badrin, to please continue with the program. Bismillah, sir.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhaja Fadila, thank you so much for signing us on. Jazakumullah khairan jaza. And I also welcome everyone to this week's edition of OU Who Believe. Over the past few weeks, as Alhaja Fadila mentioned, we have been talking around the family, and this is really influenced by the command of Allah to the believers. If you look in Surah At-Tahrim, Quran chapter 66, verse 6, actually, I mean, that's not easy to, it's not difficult to remember. 66, verse 6, 666. Quran 66, verse 6. Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O ye who believe, ku anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. Allah says, save yourselves and your family members from the hellfire. So, I mean, when we talk about, it's not only about ourselves, it's about our family as well. Living in this world, there are injunctions, regulations, and our children have spoken to it. Last week, our mothers, spoke to it. And today, inshallah, we have our fathers, cream of society, who will be speaking to this topic. So I believe it's going to be a very interesting one today, inshallah. Actually, our logistic team have entitled today's session, Man to Man. Although it's not the situation that, well, men do not advise women, we do advise our female children as well. But you find out that, this is just to make it, really sound catchy, in the sense that our fathers play a very, very big role in the home. The Quran says in Islam, Ar-rijalu qawwamun 'ala an-nisa, that is, the men are the pillars of the home. We called the women the homemakers last week. The men are the pillars of the home. And how do they do that? In relation to advice and contribution and various ways. This is what we are going to be deliberating on today. The panel is constituted of a very rich team of our fathers, the cream of society. I will start by introducing Dr. Imran Alawiye. Dr. Imran Alawiye is not a stranger to, our audience here. He's a scholar and academician. He is a teacher of the Quran, a teacher of Arabic, and he's also a publisher. Those books that we used to teach Arabic, many of us know about it. He has been on this for a very long time. Jazakallah khairan, may Allah really reward him and bless him in that regard. And he's also a resident consultant, resident Islamic consultant of the Man UK Old Controlled Islamic Mosque and Islamic Cultural Center. So he's part of us and he's one of the leaders of the community. May Allah continue to sustain him and uphold him. So we are really happy to have Professor Dr. Imran Alawiye with us tonight. Then secondly, we have Alhaji Shamsuddin Sadiq. Alhaji Shamsuddin Sadiq is also another elder within our society, our community. He's a retired technical record officer of the defunct Nigeria Airways. He served as Salatul Rahman, the elder representative for almost 20 years. And he's, a very, very ardent footballer. He captained his school team, football team, at the highest level in Nigeria when football was played for the love of it, not, I mean, only for the money. Right from school to win the Principal Cup, which was then the most prestigious football competition among Lagos, I mean, secondary schools. She was also in the Nigeria Airways Football Club, the stationery stores, you know, stationery stores, a very popular team, the Adebayo Babes, alongside players like Haruna Ilerika, Tajuddin Ajagun, Yomi Peters, and a host of other footballers. So we are really, really, pleased to have Alhaji Shamsuddin Sadiq on the panel tonight to advise our youth and to advise us around, family issues. The third person is Alhaji Prince Hamza Olaiwola Adeshanu. He's also one of our leaders, one of our elders in our community. He's a retired consular officer, an estate developer, council assessment officer, and a respected community leader. And he is an Oyo prince. He's a prince. You know, princes don't want to hide themselves. He's an Oyo prince. So we're also very happy to have Alhaji Adeshanu on our panel tonight. Then, fourthly, I will introduce Imam Tajuddin Animashaun Salami. We all know Imam Salami is also not new to our audience here. You know, many of us may not know Imam Salami is a qualified accountant. He's a grandfather, and he's the chief imam of the Old Kent Road Mosque and Islamic Cultural Center. So we are really, really pleased to have him as well. He's a father, a grandfather, and he will also be in a position to be able to talk around how to keep the family strong and how to address many of the challenges that our families face today, based on experience as well. Then finally, you know, the Yorubas usually say that the elders are always, patient to be called last. And our father, Alhaji Tajuddin Adeleju Nadu, you know, Alhaji Nadu, most of us within the community know him very well and we respect him for the contribution he has been making to the community. He has been here long enough, you know, to be respected and known by everybody. He's one of the foremost fundraisers. You know, he has been in the position of, chair of the fundraising team for a very long time before now. And he's one of the leaders of the Old Kent Road Mosque and Islamic Cultural Center. He's a well-respected community leader and a grandfather. So he also has a lot of experience in relation to raising us, the children, both male and female. And he will also be in a position to advise us in relation to family issues and the challenges we face. So I'm really, really pleased to welcome all our panelists tonight. And I'm also very challenged because we have to try and manage time very well. We have a team of 5 erudite elders and scholars in our community, you know, who will be addressing these issues. And I want to remind us that, we'll be breaking for Maghrib today, inshallah, after 7:30. Maghrib's about 7:35. So we'll be breaking, inshallah, to pray Maghrib and then come back. And from next week, inshallah, will be informing us that we'll be moving the time. In order to prevent that, we'll be moving the time of what you believe to 8 o'clock to 9:30. That is after Maghrib and before Isha. So that will give us the peace of mind to move on straight without breaking in between. But we'll be breaking after 7:30 today for Maghrib. So Jazakumullah khaira jaza. I welcome every one of us. Now, first and foremost, last week, you know, we talked about homemaking, and we asked our mothers the importance of the duties of, our mothers. I will ask the same thing tonight, you know, from our fathers. What is the role, even though the Quran, we recite it all the time, that is, men are the pillars, you know, of the family. They have a big role to play in making the family really very strong. I want to take from each one of our panelists today their perspectives of the important role, you know, the perspectives of important role of our fathers, that is men, within the family and within the community. I want us just to take one important role so that everybody can have something to talk about, so that we can manage time, well. So let me start with Dr. Alawi. Dr. Alawi, I mean, you're a scholar, you understand that concept of Kiwama well. How would you, I mean, break this out neatly for us? To be able to, sometimes people misunderstand that concept. If they look at it from a misogynic point of view, that, well, if you say that maybe it means you want to oppress the woman, the man has every control and the woman doesn't have any role to play at all. So sometimes it creates controversy if people don't understand it properly. So Dr. Alawi, can you really give us some insight into the role of the man, the role of the fathers in the family? Bismillah.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Jazakumullahu khairan. To save time, I go straight to the point. Now, I think what you've just been summarized can be condensed the following. Family is like running a company. You have CEO of the company, and you have consultants, and then you have employees. Now, in so many situations, CEO cannot just say, it is me and to hell with the rest of the team. It will not survive. The company will fail. So therefore, although Awamuna, yes, somebody has to have a casting vote, if you like. Having discussed everything, then we'll say vote figuratively. If they say tie, then somebody needs to cast their vote to carry the day. That is what is fathers there for. It's not a dictator. It's not somebody who just say, you do exactly as I said, and end of story. No, that will be misunderstanding if we want to keep the company profitable and alive.
Jazakumullah khair jaza. You know, I usually like the approach of Dr. Alawi all the time, philosophical. You know, it comes from a philosophical point of view. He compared the family to a company. People have different roles and indicated that, well, the father has an important role as the CEO to carry everybody along. That's very, very important for us to appreciate. And the CEO wants to see that, I mean, the family, the company flourishes. Now, let me talk to Alhaji Shamsuddin Sadiq. Alhaji Sadiq, I mean, what is your perspective of the role of the father in nourishing the family? Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Although we want to manage time, but I will not fail to say a very big thank you for the organizers for inviting me. I've been a follower of Who You Believe since its inception, and I never thought for once that I'd be one of the panelists. So thank you very much. And may God continue to strengthen you. Now, just like Dr. Alawi said, the CEO of the company is the director. Where he fails, the company fails. There is always this saying that the man is the head of the house. But don't let us forget that the woman is the neck. And it is where the neck turns the head, it goes. So we have to be very careful when we entertain the idea that as a man, you have the control. A man in the house, although he's the head, he's got to have some sort of what we call calmness, patience, perseverance, because you met two of you met differently from different backgrounds, and you have to manage the differences. So as head of the house, you don't stamp your authority anyhow on the family. And if something goes wrong, if you lose your patience, then the whole thing becomes catastrophe. So as head of the house, you still have to manage your patience and become, in times of being angry, not angry, control your anger, so that there will be harmony in the house. So that's my own perspective of what a man should be.
Oh, Jazakumullah khaira jaza. Another philosophical point of view, you know, in relation to the head and the neck. You know, the head cannot stay alone. The neck has to be there to support. And you mentioned very important values, you know, calmness, what do you call it, patience and perseverance. you know, and those are important values that perhaps, I mean, as fathers, we need to demonstrate and also to inculcate in our children, who, as we'll be talking about later. Let me now go on to Imam Tajuddin Salami. Imam Tajuddin, your perception on the role of the father. Now, you are muted, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Professor Barry. And I thank everybody on the platform. May Allah be with us. I thank the previous speakers, Dr. Alawiye and our father. May Allah in His mercy reward you abundantly. You have
your audio, maybe you are too far from the, so we can't hear you well. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
I believe they have hammered the nail from the head. They did very well justice to that point. But let me look at it. Last week, when our mother were treating the same family, they said, I mean, the ayah that Professor Badiri had just read, that Arijal Koamona, and I heard when somebody was returning, the mother said, women are the main soul of the house. They train the children. But somebody said, even then, Arijal Koamona, the first person, the house that you are building, somebody started building it. Let me straight away say that Islam is a religion that does not leave anything untouched, anything about our life. Now, family is just like a building, as I can see. It's just like a building, and that is why we need to build our family. It's like a building of many pillars. If one pillar is not strong enough, the family collapses. And men started, and they trained, not even only the children, they started training from our wife. When our wife came in to us, they don't know us, we don't know much of them. We say, oh, this is where the kitchen is. We introduce our house, and from there they pick up to train and make sure the family stand firm. Without wasting any time, let me say, as they have said, that family is in Islam is a strong hold, just like a building that we build. We have to build family properly. Thank you very much.
Jazakumullah khair jaza. You know, I mean, you see, philosophy again. If you look, I mean, we talk about building the family, and it's like, I mean, building a house, different aspects and different people contribute to it, but the father plays a very major role in that building, and must carry all along. Jazakumullah khair jaza. Now I'll be moving to two other fathers. Let me talk to Baba Jinadu, Alhaji Tajuddin Jinadu, Eba Fujagbawo. From your own experience, Baba, what is the role of the father in this situation? Baba Jinadu.
To be honest, both parties must be put fear and color uppermost in their mind to guide them. Both parties must put the fear of Allah uppermost in their mind to put them. The two adults, no two people are the same. Learn to understand each other. Respect from the husband as head of the family, important. That is Allah's injunction. And also under our culture, communication between the parties is essential to iron out any misunderstanding or plan for the purpose of family. Remember, you are being watched by your children. Show good cordially and friendship in land for future. Topic: managing adult children
Children are their sponsors. In-laws following sponsors, companionship, polygamy, and preparing for life at 60. Life after 60, save for the rainy day as they go along, because they must make hay while the sun is shining.
Jazakumullah khaira jaza, Baba. We'll be coming to all those issues one by one, inshallah. I mean, you did mention the fact, and you brought in a very important point there, that fear Allah and also respect from the husband, which is really very important. You know, you were referring indirectly to the verse that we used to start this program. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha wa qulu qawlan sadida. Oh, you who believe, fear Allah and say what is nice. You know, speak what is correct. So that relates to respecting our wives. You know, I mean, I learned a lesson from one where there was a time, one of our mothers, I won't mention names now, as Baba talk about respect, that the father must also respect, even though they are pillars of the house. You know, one of our mothers was saying that, you know, the husband, the Baba of the house, her husband, you know, has the culture of not calling her by name, that her husband doesn't even call her by her name as a respect, you know, and that respect is reciprocatory. So Jazakumullah khair jaza by bringing that in, Baba, taqwa, and also saying what is nice. We'll be coming to all the different issues, and I'll be, referring to them one by one, inshallah. So finally, Alhaji, Baba Adeshanu, your brief input into the role of the husband in the house. Is Baba Adeshanu there? Control room. Is Alhaji Adeshanu on?
I think it's having challenges with joining.
Okay, inshallah, we'll proceed. We'll take one more round of contributions before we break for Maghrib. Now, having established the important role of the father and putting it in perspective, that is not the dictator, he has to carry everyone along. Now we know that the family, as we say, is made up of the mother, the children, and sometimes elder children, still adult children still being at home, and sometimes there can be challenges. Now, in this day and age, as I did say last week, we found out that sometimes our adult children are still living with us at home, and sometimes there can be challenges in relation to living together. How will the father ensure harmony, particularly in relation to adult children, you know, in relation to what they do in-house, their responsibilities in the home, so that everything goes well? How can they play a role as an example and mentor, particularly for our adults, young men in the house? And we could also talk about even our adults, female children. You know, some of us are, as the Yoruba says, Baba Abigail. You know, we have, so even in relation to women, maybe you may be able to talk about that. Now, let me start here with, Alhaji Sadiq, Alhaji Shamsuddin. How do we deal with the problems of our children at home, and how do we ensure that, they toe the line as good Muslims in the home?
It still come back to the early discussion we had that say, as the head of the house, you call yourself a man, you must be a role model, because you are the mirror. Whatever you do in the house will reflect on the children, most of them that are even adults. And you have to be very, very patient, because these days now, the children of nowadays are more different from the children in our own days because of the new technology. So you have to be very, very patient, also persevere, and be very lenient. Although you don't lose your leniency by losing the control of the house, but you have to talk to them. Let them see reason and see what you are saying, and make sure that you communicate with your wife as well, because you can't do it on your own. Because sometimes if you leave it to your own, they went back to their mother who wasn't aware of what you discussed. So you have to be working together with your wife to make sure that the house is stable. As an adult child, Because sometimes they want to go out, you look at the time, and they look at the time and say, Dad, I'm not more younger. But you are thinking of the danger out there. So you have to manage that, because sometimes they see you as trying to take over their life in some ways, but you've got to let them see the reason, not in an aggressive manner or not in a controlling manner that I am your dad, you have to listen to me. If not, the house will not be peaceful. So we have to still go back to that, the component of being peaceful, component of being patient and very quiet in the house, and lead a role model attitude in the house. So that's one we needed to make sure we manage our adult children in the house.
Jazakumullah khaira jaza. Being a role model, I mean, talking to the children, especially when they are adult children, respectfully, not wanting to dominate their lives. All these are, I mean, they are practical. I mean, we all see it. And I mean, but as you rightly mentioned, Alhaji, I mean, Sadiq, does this just happen just like that? You know, we know that children go through stages. You know, they don't just become adults and just suddenly. Now, how do we build that platform? I'm coming to Imam Tajuddin now, Salami. How do we ensure? Because the truth is that when I mean, the Yoruba say, how do we ensure, you know, that I mean, we build that foundation so that when they get to that age, they don't stand up to us. If you say they don't want to say that, I mean, want to take control of their lives, you know. So, Imam Tajuddin, how do we engage with them before they become adults, children?
Thank you very much.
Your audio is not really good, Imam.
Okay.
We can't hear you.
I will come nearer it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. How to deal with our adult children, like our sister rightly said that our young adults at house. You see, there are a lot of things we have to put into consideration. It will not leave behind everything that we have been said, because we start building the house when even these children were very, very young. We catch up with them. So we train them until when they are becoming elderly, becoming age 20, 22, 23, 25, and they become adult child. Very difficult at that stage. This is the time we have to be very, very concerned. Be concerned. Be patient with them, because they will come up and tell us, I'm not any longer a baby.
Yeah.
That statement, it rings a bell. It's a pregnant of meaning. But yes, I know you are not. But instead of saying, yes, what do you mean? How was it? No. We treat them with patience. They are not only feeling it, we should feel it also as a parent, as a parent or grandfather. So that is what I feel. It is very, very essential. And he might not like to be independent, to depend. He wants to feel the free as other children, because they are going outside and they see. And as our father, Father Shamsuddin said, that we should control them. And that is where the station of the father at house is very essential. The woman, there is a limited to what they can do. So I believe I will leave the rest for those who are coming behind me.
Jazakumullah khaira jaza. I will go to, Dr. Lawiye now. It's reciprocal, because we are advising the youth as well. We have been, references has been to the role of the father. Now, sometimes, Dr. Lawiye, would you want to advise also our youth in relation to, their relationship with the fathers of the house? What should they, in what ways should they relate with the fathers, especially when the fathers are trying to build them in the proper way, and they sometimes misunderstand this to mean they want to control them. Now, how, do we advise our youth, not only the male, but including our female children, adult children. I mean, what advice would you have for them in relation to cooperation? You know, not being subservient. Sometimes, I mean, children can also advise parents and engage with them, but in what way? How do we handle that?
Yeah, see, if we come back to the at the beginning about this company issue, human being, we are essentially animal. We're just a complicated animal. That's all. An animal needs clarity. The first thing that needs to happen within the company is the clarity of mission. If the mission is clear, every part of that company, they know their roles. And that's how you have job description, you have reward, you have the consequences. So that needs to be in place. And that is the job of the father, in cooperation with the mother, to have agreed policy and to have this sense of desirable outcome. And every member of that company, in this case, family, needs to be allowed to buy in, to be a partner in that thing. Now, what usually happens is we use firefighting kind of system, where the house is in flame and it's burning. We want to put the fire out. At that point, it's very difficult. So the first thing, the human being, we have to have fire safety alarm system in the house, and that fire alarm needs to be maintained properly and watch. When we see the battery is going, we need to replace it. So the children themselves, because of sense of confusion, that's what usually they react in a very bad way, and we misread what they're doing because the mission is not clear. I suppose we will take that further later on, inshallah.
Jazakumullah khaira jaza. I will take Alhaji Babaji Nadu again, briefly, in relation to our adult children who are married. I mean, and this leads to spousal issues. Now, Baba, your experience is very vital here, and every one of us. I mean, you and Mama have been together for a very long time. These days, we see it very easily. I mean, even within our community, you know, our adult children, they are married. By the time you know it, they are separated. There's fight all the time. I mean, what advice, Baba, would you give to our youth? For you to stay together up to, I mean, where you are now. What advice would you give to our youth in relation to maintaining the family, even when there are problems, challenges?
Managing adult children and their sponsors, in-laws, following sponsors, companionship, polygamy, and preparing the life at 60. Life at 60, savings for the raining day as they go along, because they must make hay while the sun is shining. Cooperation between the couples is important to achieve savings through. You must realize that the woman owns her money, but the cordiality and cooperation, the burden will be lessened on the man by a willingness to share the responsibility. Parents must be include the in-laws in the family, because your daughter's husband become your son and vice versa.
Jazakumullah khaira jaza. I mean, cooperation and also, I mean, respecting one another, money issues, Baba raised money issues, I mean, relation, and this usually, I mean, causes a lot of problems. I will be coming to that, I mean, later. I don't know whether Alhaji Adeshanu is now on, if he wants to contribute to that in relation to the advice that we want to give to our youth in relation to spousal relationship, because our adult children, they are also in the process of building their own family. How do they learn to manage the challenges that usually come with building a young family? Alhaji Adeshanu. Well, I think, I mean, Alhaji Adeshanu, we have challenges with, I mean, with him joining. Now, I mean, we've addressed, I mean, quite a number of issues now. We have had 2 rounds of, I mean, contributions. We will perhaps maybe break now, because it's 20 to 8 now. Maghrib is in already. We'll break now to pray Maghrib. Then after we finish and come back, Bismillah, we will continue. We'll come back. Let's have a 15 minutes break. We come back around 5 minutes to 8, thereabout. And then we continue, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan jaza for your insights. And we hope to see you in 15 minutes, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi.
Hi and assalamu alaikum. My name is Munira and this is the women's entrance of Old Kent Road Mosque. Do you want to come take a look inside? This is the women's prayer area where people from all around the local community come to perform their 5 daily prayers, including Friday lunchtime's congregational prayer. But don't be surprised to come in here and find a hubbub of activity, because this women's prayer area also doubles up as an events hall. Here at Old Kent Road, we have quite a large female congregation. So if you're looking for someone and you don't find them here praying, you might find them leading the homework club or outside on the stalls selling clothes or Islamic books. Something that I really love about this mosque that I like to get involved in is the health promotion events that it targets specifically for the community. And sometimes we even have professionals come in that can help give people advice and direct them to the appropriate health service. Sundays are particularly busy days for us, where both men and women alike come for as-salatu. This is a Sunday morning service where a part of the Quran might be explained, or we might go into in-depth detail explaining a saying of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Would you like to go through to the men's section now? Brother Abdul Malik can show you around.
Assalamu alaikum. My name's Abdul Malik and I've been coming to this masjid for basically my whole life. So you've joined me on the first floor of the masjid, which is also known as the men's main prayer hall, which funnily enough used to be the first floor of a pub. However, people don't come here for a pint anymore. They actually come here 5 times a day for their 5 daily prayers. So what started off as a few first and second generation migrant Nigerians coming together to find a place to pray has actually grown in the last 25 years to over 1,000 people every Friday praying their Jummah prayer. It's really important now that kind of the next phase in our development is to actually build on top of what we have and for us to have a new masjid. It's going to allow us to kind of facilitate all of the services that we're already offering now. So hopefully there's going to be, or there will inshallah be, a gym which will allow us to kind of continue with the rehab services that we offer to the elderly population. It's also going to have a designated school, so we're not on top of each other like we are now. It's going to have youth quarters so that the youth can kind of feel free to build on the amazing work that we're doing now already. So follow me and we'll take a look at some of the classrooms. The madrasa at Old Kent Road Mosque actually houses, I think, over 400 students. I was one of these students from the ages of about 4 to 16. I can definitely say that I benefited a lot from coming here, and the kind of friends I made from here have stayed with me throughout my life, and we're still just as close today as we was back then. Students here would learn Quran, Arabic and Islamic studies, and you'd also come here to become a hafiz, inshallah, which means to memorize the Quran.
My parents chose to name me Old Kent Road Islamic and Cultural Center as a baby, and when the time came for me to start my family, my daughter was also named at this masjid.
Same as my story, I was also born and named there. I attended Maracas and used to play football after classes with my mates.
The Old Kent Road Mosque and Islamic Cultural Center, MAN UK, is a community where all Muslims enjoy the bond of brotherhood and the sweetness of sisterhood.
Old Kent Road Masjid has played an important role in my spiritual and social development and that of my young family.
It is a home, a place of solace for everyone, especially the Muslims of African descent living in London, United Kingdom.
This is a heritage we treasure and must preserve for the next generation. We need you to make this dream come true.
Kindly donate and encourage your family, friends, and loved ones to contribute towards the rebuilding of our mosque.
May Allah bless and reward you abundantly. Allahumma Amin.
Please help build our mosque.
No, we are praying for prayer. I said they asked me what am I going to eat. It's a responsibility to ask me. So it's only you and my daughter. That's it.
The mosque is the soul of the Muslim community. It is the hub of life-giving and spiritually fulfilling activities, feeding of people on the street, youth camp, empowerment of women, and care for the elderly. The timely and effective COVID-19 intervention on Oh You Who Believe, our online lecture series, is a masterpiece. The Visit My Mosque project breaks barriers. We take pride in the blend of our mosque users who cut across color, gender, age, and social differences. Academic, moral, and spiritual education is catered for at the Markaz. The 5 daily prayer, Jum'ah service, our healthy living, counseling, marriage, naming, and burial arrangements are top quality. The Old Kent Road Mosque and Islamic Cultural Center, where we do these and more, is now in ground zero. Our faith in Allah and your great contributions can make the 6-story building a reality. Please donate and encourage others around you to donate towards the rebuilding of the house of Allah. May Allah bless you abundantly. Ameen.
Jazakumullah khair jaza. I hope all our panelists are back. May Allah accept our salah. You know, this is really a very important lesson as well, in relation to the fact that no matter what we are doing, we have to bear in mind as Muslims that inna salata kanat ala al-mu'minina kitaban mawquta. That is prayer, you know, is an act of worship which is timed. And whatever we are doing, when it is time for prayer, we just have to leave it and go and observe our salawat. Now, the clip that was shown also reminds us that, you know, the place that brings us together is the mosque. And as we know, the Old Kent Road Mosque and Islamic Cultural Center project is still ongoing. We thank everyone who has been contributing. I mentioned it to us last week that we will do some sort of active fundraising on the program tonight, but I'll be coming to that later. because I want us to really have a little bit more of, discussion. And we'll seek your indulgence that the 15 minutes that we use for prayer, we'll add it on, and we'll start by 8:45 today. We'll add it on at the end, inshallah. Now, I want to now go around with another set of questions. This time, I will do just one question for everyone so that we can cover a lot more issues rather than every one of us contributing to one question. Now, from many of the discussions that we have been having earlier, we find out that, the family relationship, the role of the father, calls for discipline. The role of the mother also calls for discipline. And the role of the children, the adult children, calls for discipline, as, we have all mentioned. Now, I want to now go a little bit practical. Today, many of our youth like football a lot. Many of them play football, they like football. And a lot of the time, we don't think about it. When you ask sportsmen, about the discipline they inculcate in their sports. And if you look at the Prophet himself, there's a tradition in which the Prophet told us to teach our children. We should teach them riyadat, we should teach them sports like swimming, archery, and it's part of the sunnah. Now, Alhaji Shamsuddin Sadiq, you are ardent sportsman. Now, from your sportsmanship, because of the fact that our children, especially, not only even male, female also play football now. Now, from that sportsmanship, is there anything you can say that, inculcated some discipline or something that had positive impact on how you built your family, how you related with your children and life going forward? So that we can really talk to our children to be able to inculcate all this. It's not only just to play and be happy, but you can inculcate some few things from it. Can you tell us from your own experience on this, please?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
First and foremost, for any sportsman to be successful, you have to be disciplined. You must be disciplined. And when you are disciplined in the field of play, whatever sport you do, that brings you back home as well, because everything is timed. Waking up at a particular time, attending training at a particular time, all these are part of discipline. And if you inculcate that into your other life, you'll be successful as well, because you can't get success in anything without being disciplined. That's number one. Secondly, at home, this is one thing I really want to say. I want our parents, father and mother, to encourage their children to take on sports, because it's now something that is lucrative. Not everybody will be lawyers, doctors, and things like that. I'm not saying they shouldn't go to school, but if they are interested in any sport, support them. But when you support them, make sure you know where they go, what time they leave home, when they go for their sports, so that they don't use sports as a cover up to do something else. You can use sports to discipline your children as well, because when you discipline them, they become good citizens. And that is one of the most important aspects of being a sportsman. And not only that, it builds your mind, it gives you strength, makes you healthy as well, so that when you grow up, you know that you have to be very disciplined in every aspect of your life, which is important, because if you are not disciplined, you can't worship God. That is for sure. You cannot be a good Muslim if you are not well disciplined, because you have to discipline yourself to get up on time to pray Fajr. If you are not disciplined, you will sleep off and forget about it. So discipline is very, very important, both at home as a sports person as well.
Jazakumullahu khairan jaza. Our children, I believe they are listening. I'll come to Dr. Alawi now. Dr. Alawi, I want you to address a very particular point, particularly in relation to reaching out. In community, we hear a lot of things all the time. And in practice, we also all experience it. We have children, adult children who are male, who are female, but a lot of the time in practice, we tend to say that our female children are much more reaching out, forthcoming. Sometimes you find people complain that, I call my male child all the time. They don't even, sometimes you call them, they don't call back. But the female quickly call back. The boys don't want to really reach out. They want to be completely independent. And what is the benefit? How would you want to address? How do we address that? And what is the benefit I want our young adults to be able to appreciate that. What is the benefit of them reaching out and benefiting, digging from our own experiences as, as their fathers who have also developed, have gone through what they are going through, the benefit of reaching out. And how would you compare, as I said, because I have heard it in relation to reaching out between male children and female children, and how do you want to really encourage both to reach out? You are muted, sir.
These children, they are voluntary and involuntary members of the company. They're just being co-opted into the company. So we need to remember that. And also a lot of things getting into their lives. Now, when they are young, we are the center of attention, all this, but when they are growing up, new element is coming into their lives. Friendship, teachers, interest, so many things. They are like a war zone. We need to be aware of that because they say, for instance, parents, children, they are aware of our shortcomings. They are the best analyzers because they live with us since they were born. When the child is telling us where we went wrong or what we are not doing well, a father particularly, in our head, inside our head, what are we thinking about? My God, look at this child. When you were young, I took you to football, I took you to this, I gave you this, I spent money. We'll be tallying all the dollars and sterling and naira, but we are not in there. What the child, the important thing for us as a father is to be there. That's the most incredible currency that we don't usually value and we don't spend on them. The currency outside, we can get dollars, we can get naira, we can get sterlings, we take them, we buy them, all sorts of things. But later on, when they were giving us the hisab, if you like, the only thing they're thinking about is, see, you didn't do this, nothing about money at all. It's very rarely a child will say, you didn't give me any money. No, they didn't give me your time. When I came out of school, you were not there waiting for me. And so on. So in this situation, I would say, although you are a CEO, but you need to be consultant. Once they are moving up the ladder, they are now becoming adults. So you are now, your role will slightly modify to be consultant rather than CEO for them, for these children at that stage of their lives. We need to be there to see us, to be participants, not just watching what's going on. That's one of the issues that we need to be aware of. Yes.
Jazakumullah khaira jaza. Imam Tajuddin, I want you to look at the other part of that story. Dr. Alawi has talked about the fact that the father should be there as consultant. Now, the other part is, it takes two hands to clap. Sometimes the children themselves, when we talk about issues of companionship, sometimes, maybe due to things going on in their life, especially male children, they want to be aloof, or perhaps maybe they just want to take control of their own lives. And they don't want to get in touch with us, with the father, with the mother. Now, what advice? How do we manage that? And what advice do you have to our young adults in relation to the benefit for them reaching out, to parents, to elders within the community, to fathers within the community, so that they can learn from our experience?
Thank you very much. And also thank Dr. Alawi, who has dealt with that topic conscientiously. My advice to our youth, our young adult is this. The parents have tried very hard to bring them up to the standard of becoming young adult. To be a young adult is not a small thing. Yeah. The parents will have gone here and here to make sure, and that is why our mother cherishes us with fathers, that without us, the children, there's no amount of control they can give to the children, they will still need our support. Because once we shout, we say, look, what an adult do you call yourself? Are you forgetting that you are coming to marry in a very short, you have a family of yours? When you are behaving this way, what do you expect of the family to be? So all sorts of things, we know they have to feel, especially the parents should be very careful when their young adults are reaching age. Don't send them out. Let them automatically reach the time of going out. Because saying that, well, I believe your mate have been going out, it is not fair to them. So I believe the children, they should be with, because of the training we are giving them from beginning, they should be with the parents and say, well, look, I'm not. And Baba Shamsuddin said, we should be patient with them, sit down with them. Professor Obadini used to say, if you want to talk to a young adult, get them seated. Yeah? There's no how. Get them seated like you, feel comfortable, and talk to them as if you are brothers. You are not parents and children. You are just like a brother or a friend. Relate with them. Give them the instances that, look, in the nearest future, you expect this, and we are doing our time. Life is a risk. We have to take it like that. You are coming to understand when you grow more older. And that's what I can say now to leave.
Jazakumullah khaira jaza. Companionship is very, very important. And as we are saying, our young adults have a lot to learn from us as parents, particularly the fathers, because of the experience they have also, gone through in that regard. Now, regarding our children who are already married, sometimes it can be challenging. The Quran, there's a lot of wisdom in the Quran. Marriage is not always very smooth. Things can happen. And the Quran indicates that, if you fear some grudges between the children, the family, a wise person from the father's side, a wise person from the husband's side, and they look into it. Now, in what ways, can we, as parents, ensure that when we suspect that things, when our children are married, things are really are not going on very well? What role can we play? In what ways can we do it? Because as we say today, things are different from our own days. You don't want to be seen as prying too much, in relation to intervening too much, but you cannot also close your eyes completely. Now, how do you balance between, these two perspectives? Let me ask Babaji Nadu in that regard. When things are not really going on very well within the family, particularly our young children's family, how do we as adults and fathers intervene without not over-intervening? Babaji Nadu, please. I think, Babaji Nadu, I think there's an issue with connecting to the audio. Let me give that question to Alhaji Shamsuddin Sadiq, please. Intervening to correct issues.
It is a very gray area, to be honest, but we can't leave it out. It's something we have to do. My own advice is everybody listening to this program, both male and female, one thing we should be very, very conscious of Allah in everything we do. Sometimes we parents, because we like our children, we tend to forget that we show more love to the detriment of those children. Where we suspected something is not going on, whether it's your own daughter that is at fault, let her understand that you are wrong. You don't do this, you don't do that. If it is your son that is wrong, let him understand that he's wrong. Because one thing that is certain is marriage is a religious duty and also a challenge, but with God fairness, we will overcome all those issues. So I will advise parents to be very, very truthful in when they are dealing with, although you don't want to pry so much into their affairs, but you cannot neglect things going wrong, because at the end of the day, you come back to blame yourself that had I intervened earlier on, maybe this will not get fun, because you place your child in the marriage. You expect it to be successful. You don't want to be a father to a not successful marriage of your children. So therefore, if they bring anything up or you suspected something is going on, don't wait. Find out if your children are not coming to you regularly, or you could see that the daughter of your son, the daughter of the wife of your daughter,
the wife of your son.
Yes, comes to you every now and then, how that, and suddenly it stops. You need to be thinking something must be wrong, so that you start sniffing to make sure that things are right. You can call your son. I haven't heard from your wife for so long. Anything from the answer, if you are one of those that are very observant, you will realize that the answer he gave you is something wrong. And then you can step in that regard, because this is a marriage that is built on trust and understanding. But sometimes as human beings, we can err, we can make mistakes, we can do things wrong. But if we can't manage it ourselves, let the parents get in quickly and be truthful and be fair and just, and not just supporting your own child or supporting your daughter or your son. So the marriage will last long if you put the fear of God into everything you do.
Jazakumullahu khaira jaza. That's really an important one. I'm coming back to Dr. Alawi. I believe as a counselor, on these issues, you might have something to say on that. But I want you, if you have something to say on that, please do it. But what the main thing I want you to perhaps maybe talk about is, preparing for life after 60. As part of the discussion, as we did have last week as well. We need to prepare as adults, because we won't remain young. How do we prepare for our elderly age in life? So I give that to Dr. Imran Alawi to give us an advice on.
That's a very big area of discussion, really, because it's inevitable that if we're lucky, we are going to be talking about, in fact, it starts from age of 40. Once you reach 40, you are going down, So we need to face the music in a sense. But at age of 60 plus, first of all, we need to recognize the truth. The truth is we're not any longer a young person. But as they say, it's not the old age makes you feel, if you stop playing, it's because you stop playing, you get old. But it's not the other way around. And we need to recognize that our wrinkle in our faces and gray hair, all these treasure, and we should not try to delete it. We need to show our wisdom in that way. Now, we need to be practical. Life is, we are very lucky as a Muslim, alhamdulillah, because a Muslim at that age, we know we are getting nearer to going back home, to report back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And hopefully that is an encouragement for us. But if you don't have Iman, it's a very frightening situation to find yourself. Once you are after 60, you know something is coming. And we need to accept the weaknesses we may start happening to our body in terms of some of the conditions, which is inevitable. We need to find a way to manage that as well, the memory and the rest. We need to start enjoying that thing. But what we must not do is what is culturally very common, not only to feel old, but we want to be treated as such. It's a big mistake. It's a big mistake. I know you need a culture or something. No, don't put yourself out there as somebody who is brutally called a grave dodger. No, you just stand still and say, Al-amr biyadillah. Now here I'm still playing. You do things, learn new things, be active, and so on. don't surrender to those counting years. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. So idea is, as a Muslim, we need to know that this is natural things and to do more. You see, the age which is important is what we call al-umr al-amali, age that about what we achieve and what we want to achieve. Once we see these years being counted upon us, 60, and say, okay, I have a lot to achieve because I'm going home. I don't know when, but what is behind me is much, much more than what is in front of me. May Allah make it easy for us, inshallah.
Ameen. Jazakumullah khaira jaza. Imam Tajuddin Salami, you have passed that age, but when we look at you, we see you as, like 16, 17, 18. Yeah, now, and this doesn't happen to everybody. How did you achieve that? Tell our youth and advice in relation to how we treat ourselves.
Tell us.
Tell us. Bismillah.
That's a commitment. You don't know what I'm facing.
Mashallah. Yes, tell us.
I have no cause. I have to be grateful to Allah. As we know, life has season, and season bring changes. Well, because as I've said earlier, that coming from 10 to that 60 is not a joke. You have passed through stages. You have climbed so many steps. You see,
that's right.
You should at 60 feel as on the top of the ladder, because a lot of people are not 60, are not even 50, are not 40. So you should be very grateful. And that is why the Holy Prophet recommends that from 40, we should recite the prayer to be thankful to Allah who made you to that age. Coming to half of it again, making 60, to be very, very grateful. To be happy at 60 or 60 plus, you need to take your time. Take your time. Yes, Allah said, marry one, marry two, marry three, marry four, two, then it came back to one. But that does not mean, that does not deteriorating you. It is the way you do it. The Holy Prophet Sallallahu, they said, when a wife and his husband were having conjugal relation, then Rasulullah said, you will be rewarded. And one of the
we can't hear you again, sorry.
Yes. Then they asked the Holy Prophet, they said, doing conjugal relation between a man and husband, and they said they are doing it right in the rightful way. So what of if they do sinner? They don't do it the proper way. Are they not going to be punished? That is the law of Allah. If you say do this, if you do it, He will reward you. If you don't do this and you do it, you'll be punished. So that is how that keeps us. That is one or two things. It is 60 and 60 plus the thought of the time that we live. It's the third time. Because after 60, then the time is past time. Rasulullah spent 63. So if anybody has passed the age of 63, should be grateful and should be ready, as our scholar said. I thought he said he's going home. Maybe you're home. I'm not here. Because when they say going home, I thought he's going to home
as well.
Well, one thing is this. We should arrange special moments from age 60. Let us put aggressive. Let us put all things that we've been doing. We don't have energy for it any longer. Though it is a thing that you've been doing, you enjoy. I used to tell people when they say you have very this, I said, look, this is what I've been doing from my day one, and I've never regretted it. If I want to live, I can only live part of it and continue with my life. This is how Allah made me. So in that case, I said, old people at 60, enjoy your life, go on holiday, make yourself, don't be aggressive to anybody. Don't let anybody give you hard up. Otherwise, heart attack is there And it's very
and arrange special moments. That's really very important. I mean, arrange special moments. That's really
right. That's right.
Very, 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 very important. Jazakumullahu khairan jaza. I want to leave time for questions. You know, but one thing perhaps maybe which I want to throw in is we've talked about the fear of Allah. We've talked about, looking after ourselves, arranging special moments, you know, but there's a very popular, saying, which is also very, very important. And it's practical in relation to, and this relates to, dealing with people around us. We are talking about family and people around us generally. You know, they used to say that, you know, when you are going up, be nice to everyone you meet on the road. Because when you are coming down, you meet the same people. You know, so, you find out that, Dr. Alawiye did mention that when you reach 40, 60, you are coming down. So when you are moving up, and this is really very, very important, because, by the time you get 60 and above, you know, issues of boredom, you need people around you. You need people to be able to, you know, so when we are going up, we should be nice to people, everyone we meet on the road while going up. Because when we are coming down, these same people will meet them again, and they will reciprocate how we have dealt with them. So this is really a very important point, which I want to add in relation to perhaps maybe going up in life after 60. Jazakumullahu khairan jaza. This has been really very good. I will take 10 minutes now for questions. Then after that, you know, we'll do some sort of fundraising, active fundraising for 5 minutes, and then go back to about 5 minutes questions again, and then we round up. So let me go to the control room now. Do we have any questions, for our panel today? Control room.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Your hands if you have questions. The first question I have here is that why does it look like men feel more vulnerable at older age than women?
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Alhaji Shamsuddin, do you want to address that for us? Is it true? And if it is true, why?
Oh, I don't think that is true anyway. But one thing that is certain is we are not created in the same vein. Men have different nature, tissues in the body than that of women. And men, it's an old adage, because in those days, it is the men that goes out to work all day and night to feed the family. And that's old adage still rise up today, that men are more vulnerable than women. I don't think so. It depends on how individuals use their life, use their time, spend their time. That actually counts a lot as to whether you are vulnerable or not. Because like Dr. Alawiye and Imam Salam said earlier on, when you are getting to 60, my own advice to you, Chuan, is slow down, relax. Don't think because you are 40, because sometimes your health can deceive you, make you think you are not old, and you keep on doing what you are doing as a 25-year-old. You wake up 5 o'clock in the morning to pray Fajr, you go to work, come back 10 o'clock in the night, then wake up 5 o'clock in the morning again, no rest, no relaxation. You go to work 7 days a week. All these things actually come back to count, and you didn't realize that you are getting to 60. Sometimes you don't realize you are over 60. You still think until when sickness comes in, that is when you realize how good your health was in the past. So I don't support the idea that men are more vulnerable than women, to be honest.
Jazakumullahu khairan jaza. Let me perhaps maybe put it in context, because, you know, incidentally, I'm in different groups. Both Islam, Muslim groups and non-Muslim groups, academic groups, and this discussion does come up. Just about last week, there was this exact discussion that was going up on another group, in the sense that, well, particularly in the African culture, Nigerian particularly, that men are usually left vulnerable. That's how it was put. And they indicated that, and somebody was actually saying that, well, usually it's a setup, in the sense that now, a lot of the time, our mothers, our wives are so much attached to the children. Now, when we have a family, all the children are still with you. But when the children grow up, they have their own families, they live far away. Now you are only, you are as when you started. That is, the husband and wife alone remains. Then you find out that regularly, maybe the woman knows, I want to go and see the children, and off she goes. She goes to the children, 2 months, 3 months, and the father is left at home. You know, nobody thinks about, okay, what will he eat? They say, well, sometimes it's a setup. And this is why I've observed in relation to the fact that, you know, vulnerability, if you look at it from that point of view, and it does happen in life. Truly, it happens, you know, and you don't want to say that, well, the mother cannot go to see the children. Well, the truth is, you are the only one left, not only in the UK, even because most of the people on the discussion group, in the other discussion group, were from Nigeria. It's a Nigerian group, but this issue was being raised, indicating that now men are really being left vulnerable because of this, and somebody was saying that's a setup. So let's see, whether Dr. Alawi will also want to contribute to that, seeing it from that point of view.
Well, first of all, the reality is this. Statistically, if you look at it, men overall die before women. You cannot dispute that. It's fact. Yeah. That's fact. Majority will die before women. Secondly, another fact is you'll be surprised that the divorce, the rate of divorce is very much concentrated. The age gap between 50 and 60. Perhaps for some of the reasons that somebody just raised. They find themselves, they felt abandoned or not careful or whatever. Everybody just doing their own thing. It is very, very common. Between the age of 50 and age of 60, if you look at statistics, you find it as the most, it's unbelievable. And then the early marriages as well, also competing. Only in the middle that you have the settlement, because obvious reason, children are growing up, everybody's doing for the sake of children kind of thing, whether they want to confess or not. There's stability in the middle. It's a stability in the middle. But the beginning, yes, what is incredible. And then the end, once the menopause or menopause is set in, that's it. And then everybody's just, so men, another thing is women are very good in the companionship with other women. They can socialize much better.
Socialize much more than men, okay.
Than the men. So later on, men, once they're getting old, they feel very isolated. Because they never reached out before, as somebody mentioned earlier on. When you are going up, be careful, but you're coming down. Now, because when you are going up, you are youth between the age of 20, 45 kind of things, you are doing your own thing. You don't have companionship as such, as a man. Majority of them don't. So when they're coming down, nobody's there.
They're on their own, yeah. So we have to bear that in mind. It's a good point. So we need to bear that in mind so that we prepare for it as men as well. So let's take another question. Oh, Imam wanted to say something on that. You are muted, please. Imam, you are muted.
Yes. I remind ourselves of one woman on social media, exactly what Dr. Alawi said. She said, when at the old age, and that is why I take my parents as a case study. My father passed away in 1994, and my mother, is still doing very well. And you can see the distance. I don't think my father and my mother, they distant more than 10 years, if at all, let me say, at most, see how long. I agree with Professor Badeni that women, our mothers stay longer. But at the same time, the thought or the problem our wives are giving us is compatible. You cannot compare it because you don't do this, you don't do what they have been doing in day one, they still have to do it. So that is it. May Allah be with us. A wife will go and enjoy with the children. They won't call father to come and enjoy it. The father will have money to do it. So may Allah be with us.
Jazakumullah khaira jaza. And this is where the fear of Allah comes in. Yes. Taqwa of Allah comes in. We hear a lot of things in the somebody was saying, Astaghfirullah, I'm not that one believes in it, but people do say it. On that same group, when we were discussing, when somebody says it's a setup, that and things like, another person said, well, look, wives, he says, wives, if you marry, he says, wives are headaches. just take your own headache and take your Panadol. You know, you know, it was really very.
That's a very brutal.
Very brutal. But the truth of the matter is, I mean, Muslim women should not be counted in that category, because as Alhaji Shamsuddin does mention, it's about the fear of Allah, God consciousness, not thinking only about oneself, but thinking about the whole family. As we did start, the Quran says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, Ku anfusikum wa ahlikum nara. O you who believe, protect yourself and all your people, all your family from hellfire. So it's really very important. Just deliberately, I mean, the question is really poignant, and we need to reflect over it, both our fathers and our mothers and our children, in the sense that, you know, we have to think together and, I mean, be there for one another, especially at old age. Now, can we take one more question, control room?
We have 2 more questions and we have 2 hand raised. What do I do, sir?
Okay.
Okay. So one question is saying, what can a woman do if the husband refuses her to work, citing staying at home to look after the home, children, and using the time to learn our deen?
Okay. I mean, Dr. Alawi, we answered that. What's the second one? Dr. Alawi,
The second one is, what do the fathers have to say to the saying that fathers are fathers for the whole world?
Okay. So that's also another proverb. I mean, I'll give that to Alhaji Shamsuddin Sadiq. So let's, Dr. Alawi, let's hear your
perspective. The first one, the first question, please.
Say the first question again.
What can a woman do if the husband refuses her to work, citing staying at home to look after the home, children, and using the time to learn our deen?
About the deen. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it is about agreed policy again. That's from the beginning. That needs to be discussed even before they get married. It's part of the discussion. You just cannot leave that until the dots, everything is signed up and can say, by the way, you are not allowed to do A, B, C, D. That has to be part of the agreement and the package and discussed and agreeable. Because if you, after the marriage, sign and then you just say, by the way, I'm not allowing you to go anywhere. That's the recipe for disaster. The force behind that is excellent one, fine, but it's not to be agreed upon. So as simple as that. But once you find yourself that was not discussed before, and then you say, I'm afraid you need to stay at home. Most of the discussion when we have problems, we face this question all the time. When the husband will say, look, I'm a Muslim, I don't want my wife to go anywhere, that's her place is at home, and I say, why didn't you discuss that before? You know, in most cases, it's a i'lan harb. It's like you just announce, war, which cannot easily be resolved. And that's in my experience, it is seldom that we manage to resolve that kind of things. So, but whether it is a good thing, yes, of course. For me, I believe it's a good thing to agree that somebody, and it's a woman, and that is a wife, to manage the home, but not at the expense of her mental safety and health. And because it's an intellectual person, they have to agree of what then she will be doing to have fulfillment in life during that period when she's managing the future generation. All that is a big stuff and needs to be discussed and agreed upon.
Jazakumullah khaira jaza. You know, it reminds me of, I mean, in Islamic law, you know, we do set problem questions, and there is, I mean, in marriage, there's something we call, I mean, shurut, stipulations. That is when the husband and wife want to marry, you can put stipulations into the contract that you won't do this, you won't do that. And we have some questions based on difference of opinion. Sometimes we ask if a man and a woman marry, and during the marriage, there's stipulation in it whereby the man say that, well, I will not allow you to work, or I will not allow you to go to university. Is that stipulation, even if the woman sign it, is that stipulation valid or invalid? There are difference of opinion, even on working. Even if there's stipulation, the man puts stipulation in that, well, I will not allow you to work. You know, can that stipulation be challenged after the marriage? Is it a completely valid or invalid stipulation? You know, I mean, so it's quite, I mean, a valid question. Although, I mean, there's need for agreement on it, but a lot of the time it still raises a lot of, I mean, issues in that perspective. Jazakumullah khaira jaza for addressing that. Now, Alaji, I mean, Sadiq, the second question, please.
I think I still remember that. And that is
okay. What's the second question?
The question is, why do they say Baba Gugu Baba Gugu?
Okay, Baba Gugu.
How do you
right.
react to that
Yes.
statement as men?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these statements usually come from our women. And I think it stems from the fact that in those days, men are allowed to marry 4 or 5 wives. So a particular woman will be telling the children, Baba Ulumpe, who is that Baba? Don't you remember Baba Bubuayene? That is, he can go anywhere. That is usually the reason they say Baba Bubuaye. It's not that Baba Kon is the father of all the world. It's just a terminology for women to keep themselves to the side and said, it's not just for yourself. And again,
that you have to know me.
Yes, it's always that situation. It's not a genuine thing that Baba Kon is Baba Bubuaye. So it's used as a sort of defense mechanism for women to make sure that their own children are catered for.
For them, yeah. Okay.
Do I smell in that statement idea of, look, Baba you say, but is that that's meaning hidden under that statement?
Yes, it has on that undertone as well. It has that,
but it is always used pejoratively. Does the man want to say something on that? I feel you wanted to say something on that. Okay, yeah, so it's pejorative in the sense.
Yeah. Men are more jealous than women. In case of the question that Dr. Larry answered, if I'm not a degree holder and my wife is PhD holder, why should, even though she said I cannot even say my wife should not go out, what am I jealous for? You are a man. If a woman cross your carpet anyhow, you can take another one. Islam has left a way to do it.
Yes. Yeah, Jazakumullah khaira jaza, Imam. I mean, for contributing to that question as well in that regard. We need to really do a little bit of, active fundraising. As I said, I did promise last week. I hope the questions have all been answered. But I want to appeal to us, our viewers here. The Old Kent Road Mosque and Islamic Cultural Center is still.
The 200 raise, sir.
Yes, we'll be coming to that place. Okay. We'll give them opportunity to ask, but we need to do this fundraising. I just want to call upon us. You know, the mosque project, the second phase is about to start, and we need really to raise money. And every little money we can raise from all quarters. It has been mentioned earlier that, well, we'll be doing the fundraising, the big fundraising soon. But on all you who believe, please, please, please. I want us to raise, perhaps, no matter how small, tonight. You know, don't let me push us too much. We are we are over 80 on this platform tonight. Let us try to raise £1,000, just £1,000. You know, so who will first, break the ice? Who is he who will want to loan Allah a goodly loan so that Allah reward you back? We want to raise 1,000, just 10 people. If we get 10 people, 100 pounds, that's 1,000. If we get 20 people,
100 pounds,
100 pounds, mashallah, jazakumullah khaira jaza. Dr. Imran Alawi has, as-Sabiqun has broken the ice, 100 pounds. May Allah reward you. Who wants to follow suit? Please, let's do this quickly. Let's set a record that within 5 minutes we can raise 1,000 pounds. Who will follow?
Alaji Sadiq, 50 pounds.
Alaji Sadiq, 50 pounds. Nurat Lolade, Abdul Malik, okay, 100 pounds. Alaji Sadiq, 50 pounds. Yes, we have 250 already. Only 750 more.
Ibrahim Oyedele, 100 pounds.
Oyedele. Ibrahim, 100 pounds. Jazakumullah khairan jaza.
I have let me be calling them. Auntie Yabo.
Yes. Auntie Yabo. Adiola, 50 pounds, putting that in. Yes, Auntie Yabo. Okay, let's ask,
50 pounds.
50 pounds. I want us to do this quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 450 now.
50 pounds. 50 pounds.
Okay, Alaja 50 pounds. Jazakumullah khaira jaza. May Allah reward you abundantly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 500 pounds now. Wa alaikum salam.
Ìgbà mani amending lọ sí Umrah.
100 pounds. Okay, minding amending 100 pounds. Jazakumullah khaira jaza. Jazakumullah khaira jaza. Akoni sadaki. May Allah reward you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need just 300 pounds more, please. 300 pounds more. Let's be quick about it because of time. I want us to stop at 1:45.
Have you taken Adiola 50 pounds? Adiola 50
Yes, I have.
pounds.
I have. Yes, I have. We need 300 pounds more. Quick. Don't let the momentum drop. Yes. We just need 3 people, 100 pounds each. Jazakumullah khaira jaza. Everything has gone quiet. Okay, I also put 100 pounds to set the momentum again now. 100 pounds. So we need just 200 pounds.
Ibrahim Adewusi 50 pounds.
Ibrahim Adewusi 50 pounds. Okay, we need 150.
Alaja
as our fathers used to say. 150, yes.
Alaja Akonde has an answer before.
Okay, Alaja Akonde, yes.
Salam alaikum, 100 pounds from Alaji.
Mashallah, from the Akondes, 100 pounds. So we need 50 pounds more for the 1,000 to be complete.
Ayashams 50 pounds.
Ayashams 50 pounds. Ayashams closed with, so we have 1,000 pounds now. There's something wrong with the system. Jazakumullah khaira jaza for everyone that has donated. You know, we are just trying to, make us aware of the need to continue donating. And I'm really, really impressed. Within 5 minutes, we've raised 1,000 pounds. You know, that's a very important and big commitment. May Allah reward every one of us who have made this contribution. And please, when you have made this pledge, make sure that you put the money in the association's account, you know, and indicate that, well, it is the pledge that you made for today's OU Who Believe. May Allah reward us and reward us with Jannatul Firdaus. Now, time is spent. The remaining questions will be taking them next week. As I said, our time will change next week. Next week, we'll start from 8 o'clock to 9:30 so that we can have the program straight on without needing to break. So do not forget, our time changes next week. We start at 8 o'clock to 9:30. Let me thank all our panelists tonight. Alaji Shamsuddin Sadiq, thank you so much for your contribution. May Allah reward you. Alaji Imran Alawi, Dr. Imran Alawi, thank you so much for your contribution. Imam Tajuddin Salami, thank you so much for your contribution. God of faith, we need to thank you as well. Thank you very much. Our father, Baba Jinadu Tajin Jinadu, may Allah reward you. Towards the end, the audio started playing up, but Eshunga Aba Loremi, She Alekwa Lafia. Then our Prince Adishanu, we thank you so much. Perhaps maybe there were challenges for you to connect, but the intention is there. And we believe that Allah will reward you. And everyone that has contributed tonight, you know, and every one of us who have made contributions, may Allah reward us abundantly. Laji Ibrahim Oyedele, I'm really sorry, I didn't quickly know you were there. You will have, you always enjoy your contribution, but next week, inshallah, we hope to see you and you'll be given opportunity to make contribution. So our OU Who Believe tonight will be the ayah that I started with, Quran chapter 66 verse 6. Don't forget 66 6. Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, qu anfusakum wa alaykum nara. Protect yourself or save yourself and your family members from the hellfire, waquduha an-nas wal hijara, which Allah will fuel with human beings and stones on Yom Al-Qiyamah. So, you know, and it is in this world that we have to prevent ourselves and our families from going in that direction. We should all aim to enter Jannah with us and our families. And these, some of the things that we have discussed tonight is what will make us to go towards the direction of Jannah on Yom Al-Qiyamah. May Allah make it easy for every one of us. So I'll hand over back now to Alaja Fadila Alabi to sign us off for tonight. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much, our fathers, for this evening. I've really learned a lot. I pray that Allah spare our lives beyond next week so that we can enjoy more of this program. As they've said, please look after yourselves, take care of your old age. Like they said, life begins at 50. So at 60, please continue to enjoy yourself, make time for your family. And as they always say, please let us, you know, put that in mind and know what we are doing so that we are not only good outside. Let's take care of our family. May Allah make it easy for us. And I want to thank all those that donated today. May Allah increase you in multiple fold and accept it as act of ibadah. Thank you so much. May Allah spare our lives beyond next week. I say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And please don't forget, next week we start at 8 p.m. as Prof said. I put it also in the chat. Please, it's 8 p.m. now, both in Nigeria and in UK. We are still on the same time so that we won't have to break for Salat. Assalamu alaikum.
Rebuild by pulling down the 100-year-old building. Now is the time to have a brand new purpose-built 6-story Old Kent Road Mosque and Islamic Cultural Center, strategically sited here in London. Join us on this journey of faith by donating and encouraging others to do the same. You can pay in any currency. May Allah bless you abundantly. Ameen.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما إنا عرضنا الأمانة على السماوات والأرض والجبال فأبين أن يحملنها وأشفقن منها وحملها الإنسان إنه كان